Good day to everybody. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. And as always, thanks for being here. And as always, the support is very much appreciated. In this video, I will be speaking on some interesting comments that Leon Bailey made in a recent interview on YouTube. It's on the TNT Sports platform. He made some interesting comments in that interview that I wanted to zoom in on. Before I get to that, I want to make a correction from my last video on Dujon Whisper Richards. I totally forgot that Whisper started a game for Chelsea's U21 since he has gone there. In the video, I stated incorrectly that he has not started for Chelsea's U21 since his arrival. Totally forgot. One of my subscribers kindly pointed it out in the comment section that he has indeed started a game for Chelsea's U21s. And, I'm really grateful that he made that correction in the comment section, because to be honest with them, I never ever realized they are fooling me there chat. Totally forgot. It was a game against Middlesbrough U21s. He started, the same game that he tried to score from half line. So I was incorrect where that was concerned. Also, not really a correction, but just something I wanted to clarify for me personally. While I was watching back the video after I put it out, the last one, I had said in the video that the international media, in my humble opinion, can be prejudiced towards black footballers. And really, the international media, me did really want to point out, is specifically the British media, the British sports media. I believe that, on a number of occasions, they can be very prejudiced when it comes to especially black footballers, right? Sometimes I don't like the rhetoric coming from those platforms as it pertains to black footballers. So I just wanted to be more specific in my comments, right? Now we're getting into the Leon Bailey, the comments that he made in the interview last week. I'm going to play the interview. Well, I'm going to play a clip from the interview for you guys now.
I want to know where your forms come from this year. I mean, I've already seen what you've done in Europe, especially in Germany, but something seems to have clicked this year, especially with yourself in terms of freedom and being able to express yourself. What's changed for you mentally?
I think I would say I got my body right from the very start of the season. And I think with the previous seasons before, I didn't really get the time to really get my body right, because I've always had to travel for international games, or, during the summertime, I'm always playing in the tournaments, then like a pre-season and coming back trying to, after holiday, trying to get back up again on your feet without proper pre-season and trying to perform. It's very difficult, and I think I've really spent a lot of time really just focusing on my body and really trying to make sure that it's in top shape and that I feel good every single day. And I think that has really helped me a lot moving forward to the season that I've been having so far.
All right, so that was Leon Bailey in his interview last week, right before the Ajax game, right? And, he spoke in that clip about getting his body right. We have heard Leon speak on the reason for his current form this season, in terms of, like, for instance, we have heard him give credit to Unai Emery and, speak on, how Emery has helped him to get the best out of him. And he even made mention to it in that same interview that I just took the clip from. However, I have not heard Leon Bailey speak on this aspect as to why, his performances have improved greatly this season. So it was very interesting, and I wanted to zoom in on it. I remember I was having a conversation with JD from the iMaxit YouTube channel, big up JD, and I was saying to him that, for me personally, I think the reason why Leon Bailey, was not having the best time in England was not necessarily because of what people are saying, like, he wasn't good enough or his talent wasn't good enough for the Premier League. But I think something is physically wrong with Leon Bailey. I was saying that to JD that from a physical standpoint, he looks off. He does not look, from a physical standpoint, in terms of how he's playing, he does not look like how I know Leon Bailey has looked in the past, like what we have seen from him in the past. You know, the sharpness wasn't there. The explosiveness was not there. He seemed sluggish a lot of the times when watching him play. And I'm referring specifically to last season, right? You know, because this conversation happened very early in this season, you know, when shortly after the season had just started, a couple games into the season. So I was referring to last season and basically saying that physically, he does not seem okay. He does not seem like what we have seen from him in the past from a physical standpoint. Something looks wrong. Something looks off, right? I understand the season before last season, you know, the topsy-turvy season where he, you know, kept on getting injured, would play 2-3 games, then get an injury that would keep rolling him out for 2 months. Then he would come back, play another 2-3-4 games, then get injured again. So, you know, it was hard to build consistency and get a rhythm, you know. But last season, he didn't really have any injury issues last season. If you remember something right, he had like one little niggle that probably kept him out for a game or two, if memory serves me right. You know, don't quote me on that. But if memory serves me right, that happened. But no real serious injury issues last season. So I was basically saying that I am very concerned about Leon Bailey, right? In terms of, is it a case that the injuries, this, you know, because he was very injured the season before that, was it a case that those injuries have done Leon permanent damage in terms of from a physical standpoint? Because, you know, sometimes, you know, players get injuries that they do not recover from, right? We have seen it in football from time to time, that when they come back from, you know, said injury or a series of injuries, they are just not the same player from a physical standpoint. And, you know, I was wondering to myself, is that the case with Leon Bailey? You know, and I was very worried about Leon Bailey's career, you know, and I was saying that to JD, and also even just after that, just thinking about it, because, you know, we give a lot of thought to Jamaica's football. You know, partly the reason why I am vlogging and here sharing my thoughts and opinions with you guys. So, you know, for a long time, I was very concerned about Leon Bailey's career because he just did not seem like the same player physically, right? You know, in thinking about it, giving it more thought, I'm saying to myself, well, to be fair, while there were a lot of games last season that from a physical standpoint, Leon Bailey looked terrible, and I'm not pretty it up. To be fair, there were some games where physically Leon looked all right. He looked sharp. He looked explosive. You know, he looked physically like the Leon we have seen, you know, from his days at Leverkusen and from his days at Genk, you know. So I am saying no, you know, games like, for instance, I remember he had some very good performances against Manchester United last season, right? Very good performances. Like, I remember this game against Tottenham in the second half of last season where he looked physically sharp, you know. A game against Brentford comes to mind as well. Games against Leeds United, if memory serves me right, he scored in that game and also took a shot that the keeper, you know, would have saved. And if memory serves me right, it was Emi Buendia who scored the rebound. Don't quote me on that. But a game like Leeds United, for instance, where I think he looked sharp and he played very well. So I'm saying to myself, to be fair, even though there were a lot of games he played, he not only played terrible, but looked terrible from a physical standpoint. There were games where he looked sharp from a physical standpoint. So I'm now saying to myself, is it a case that Leon Bailey is not properly preparing for games on a consistent basis? He's not properly preparing himself, you know, for games in terms of getting his body right to perform week in, week out, you know, at the highest level he can possibly perform. Because, you know, if some games him look physically sharp and looks physically fine, what we know he can look like you know, in terms of his movement and stuff like that, what he has looked like in the past. If some games him look like that, that means say, yo, the injuries not really hasn't diminished his game, because the potential for him to do that from a physical standpoint and look sharp from a physical standpoint and look like what we know he can look like from a physical standpoint, obviously the potential for him to do that is there. You can see it in some games, you know. So all of this was thoughts that was going through my mind, but I had noticed it that physically Leon did not look, you know, what we know he can look like. And to be fair, I have heard other people on YouTube say it as well, and on social media in general say that Leon Bailey, physically something seems to be off with him, right? So I'm very happy to hear Leon Bailey, you know, speak on this issue. I've never heard him speak on it before. And I am very happy that, you know, my original worst fears, you know, was not the real issue at hand. It wasn't that the injuries had done him permanent damage, which I'm very happy to see, you know. And I'm very happy that Leon identified the problem and that he has taken steps to rectify the problem, and that, you know, basically take steps to improve himself and to get his body right. I'm very happy that he has done that, you know. Sometimes I think that some of these footballers, they're very young and they're making a lot of money, tens of thousands of pounds per week. In Leon's case, you know, if I'm not mistaken, even before his recent new deal, he was on 100,000 US per week, somewhere along those lines. A lot of money per week. So the day in the life of Leon Bailey video on Aston Villa's YouTube channel. The man I leave Aston Villa in our Bentley convertible, if memory serves right. So, you know, whole heap of money around, whole heap of money I make what happy to see. But sometimes I think these high profile players, they are young, they're making a lot of money, they get a little bit complacent sometimes. So I was wondering if that was an issue in terms of why, you know, Bailey was not preparing himself consistently, you know, to be in peak physical condition. But I'm very happy that, you know, he has rectified the problem, identified the problem, solved, you know, rectified the problem, and hopefully he continues to consistently take the necessary steps to get his body right, to get his body in peak physical condition to be able to perform week in, week out. You know, very happy to see Leon Bailey's success this season, man. It's a joy as a Jamaican when you see our footballers doing well at credible levels. You know, whether it's a Bailey in England, or a baller in Serbia, or wherever Jamaican footballers are playing, is always a joy to see them doing well. And I'm happy to see Leon Bailey back. You know, I always hear him talk about how Unai Emery, the impact that Unai Emery has had on him, particularly this season. But, you know, I was very happy, and, you know, it stood out to me when I heard him speak on this, and I just really wanted to zoom in on it and highlight it and, you know, give some thoughts on that particular issue. You know, hopefully Leon Bailey's current form can translate to the national team. Yes, Leon, we need you for start. We are do for Villa, you need for do for Jamaica too, brother. The Reggae Boyz need you, and we haven't seen that from Leon, especially on a consistent basis. And, you know, it would be nice if he would start in the upcoming game, you know, the next game up. You know, we're definitely going to be needing Leon Bailey to be firing off all cylinders for that big CONCACAF Nations League semi-final tie, right? You know, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you think about, you know, what has been spoken on in this video. You know, knock up the likes button, subscribe, and share as well. Free and easy ways to support the Formula Sports channel. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and until next time.